Welcome back, Master Debaters. What is up? What is up? We have a fun show ready to go for you all, and we got some special guests coming on. I'm so happy to have them on. For folks who've been rocking with us for I don't know how many years we've been doing this damn show, but for those of you who out there been rocking with us for a long time, you know we love to try to bring on people so we have some other voices, especially when we're trying to speak about females. We want females to come on, and we're very lucky enough to have Kat and Moni. They're going to come on and be guests of ours today. They have their own podcast that we really strongly suggest you check out called the Fake Ass Book Club. So make sure you check that out as well. I see people jumping in already. Day Peace, what's good, Day? Mary Ballard is in with us saying hi, guys. Warren, so they're happy. She's happy to see Warren. At least one person's happy to see Warren.
Hilarious.
But we got a good show. We're going to jump into it here real quick. But before we're going to go ahead and make our rounds, I do want to let you guys know we will be talking about Jason Whitlock and his coon and ass. No real judgment here. That's just my opinion on Mr. Jason Whitlock. We'll be jumping into that
Preach.
real soon. But before we do, let's go ahead and welcome our first guest in a long time, Kat. Kat, what's good? How you doing?
You're so kind to ask, Sydney. I've never been better.
Okay, all right. Well done, Kat. All right, Kat, you want to let the people know anything about the podcast? How can they check you out? What's the best way to see or hear you guys? You ladies, rather.
So, we're on all the podcast platforms, on the YouTube, we're on Instagram. Just look for the Fab Podcast. Or if they let us cuss, it's the Fake Ass Book Club. And we review books, movies, and like most book clubs, a lot of times there's no book. We just get together and talk. But we read 28 books last year, so we're doing pretty good.
All right. Okay, that's what's up. That's what's up. Dion, what's good, bro? What's good? Actually, let's go ahead and do how we normally do it. Warren, what's
I
up,
was
bro?
gonna
How are you?
say,
I want to give you the short version of this story. First of all, good to be back, everybody. Some of you hit me up directly saying you missed me not being on the show. I appreciate that.
Nobody
Thank you.
told you
Good to
that.
be.
Go
Okay, I
ahead.
wrote it myself. But short version, long story. I'm on the boat. I'm working. Cruise is going great. I'm doing a show, and this I can hear the people on the other side of the curtain going, "Let's see if the comedian can deal with us." Which, as you know, as comics, you don't want to hear people say that. So you come out guarded already. 5 minutes in, they start saying stuff, and I go, "Were you the guys who I could hear behind the curtain?" And happily, they go, "That was us. Yeah, that was us." So you've already admitted it, right? I'm taping the whole show, by the way. So it goes on. A couple minutes later, the guy says something else kind of crazy. So I just like shut him down right now before this gets started. And it gets a little rough, but he takes it. He shuts up. Everything's fine. 2 minutes later, they've got a kid with them, and it's a family show, and it's a 4-year-old. She starts talking like a kid would, but then the dad starts talking to her loud. The guy who I had to mess with. "What's wrong? What's the matter?" And I ignore him. I do my best to ignore him for about 6 minutes, and then she gets up and starts walking around by the stage, and I can't take it anymore. And I go, "Look, I've been like sincerely, I've been really nice." And she's like, "Oh, you can't bring kids to the family show." I'm like, "Oh, I'm not mad at her. I'm mad at him for talking to her as loud." And then it just becomes a thing. And it got to that point. Remember that time at that show, Dion, where I said, "I'm Superman, you can't kill me"? Remember how bad that show went? It was one of
hmm
those rare moments where I just listened to him. But then the audience was like, because the whole time I'm doing the show, they're watching this kid like, is anyone gonna say anything to the kid? So then he gets up and he leaves. And the woman, her and her parents were there, and her mom goes, "Should we all get up and walk out?" And I go, "Walk out. I'll give you the comment card." And the lady says, "No, we're going to stay because you're friends with my husband." And I go, "The guy who just left?" She goes, "No, that's my brother. You know my husband." I do the rest of the show. She comes up after. She goes, "Yeah, my husband's XYZ, another comic." So now I'm mad because it's like, you're married to a comic and you would do what you just did at this show. And I didn't say that. And I was like, "Well, how come you guys are talking about, if the comic could take this, blah, blah." "Oh, we didn't say that. We didn't say that." So she talks to me for 5 minutes about how they met over COVID and all this other stuff. And I met her family. Then the second they leave me, they go to the cruise director and tell on me and say that I said stuff I didn't say and that I made fun of their handicapped child. They said all kinds of stuff I didn't do. Now, luckily, I taped the show. So when they came to me, I just, showed them the tape like, "Well, here's where they admitted they were going to do this. Here's where I said what I said. I didn't say anything about the kids." So that was the week I had before I left. But it's good to be here, everybody. Oh, by the way, the cruise director worked with me for years. He's seen my show. He knows I'm not making fun of people's children. Blah blah blah. So all charges were exonerated.
Had that been me,
I'll do it for you.
oh yeah, because
Fuck
I'd have been
that
all.
crippled ass kid. How
Oh wow,
about that?
oh wow, Dion. Jeez, I was talking about on stage, bro. I'm trying to keep the show going. What are you doing? What are you
Hilarious.
doing, Dion? How was your
Fuck
week,
that
sir?
kid, man. My week was fantastic. I pulled a muscle in my neck that's got my throat hurting. So there's that. Just being old. Didn't do any strenuous activities whatsoever.
That's
Just
nothing to do with
just
being
sitting
old.
in my
That's some
chair the
weird
wrong
shit.
way. Hey, it is what it is. You're gonna get there one day. Uh, but other than that, I'm good, man. I had a good week of teaching the class, uh, comic class that I teach. I got a good class lined up for tomorrow, so it's been good. Booked the show for this weekend coming up, so I'm happy. I'm good. Uh, I didn't want to watch the video for what we're talking about tonight, but I just watched it and it's got me feeling some type of way. So we'll go from there.
All right. Well, good. I'm glad to see everybody's doing well. Again, we have Kat with us from Fake Ass Book Club, FAB podcast. It looks like Day Peace has already followed you guys. He threw it up there. He's already followed you. So there's one right there. I go ahead and I strongly suggest that all of our master debaters follow these lovely young ladies. Listen to them talk about books and Marvel comics and I don't know if they do a video or not, but if they do, you can watch Kat eat food and drink soup, all kind of stuff she's been
Yep.
doing over here. So we go.
Pineapple juice.
Day, Day Pieces in with us. Mary Ballard's with us. Chad, my man Chad. Good evening to you, Chad. Day hit us with a hashtag Black Excellence. Day Peace. I appreciate that, bro, man. Watching you from afar, man. Love what you're doing and your grind as well, bro. So keep it going. I can't see who says this, but a Facebook user says, "Whoa, a fourth person." Yes.
Michelle Nagata.
Michelle Nagata. We should have a fifth one, and someone says Batman Returns. I think that might be
That's
Michelle as
Michelle
well.
as well.
All right, let's jump into this show. All right, Mr. Tyree Nichols. Obviously, that is a story that a lot of us have watched and seen. Was murdered by several police officers and some other folks as well. I'd like to throw the EMTs in there. I would like to throw a couple of the fire members of the fire department in there as well. For me, it wasn't just the men who beat on him. It was those who could have come and maybe helped save his life had they done something. So it went beyond that. I think the scope of firings, the scope of charges that we're seeing also proves that out as well. But we wanted to talk about it, and we waited to talk about it, this part of the story that deals with Mr. Jason Whitlock, because again, we wanted to have some female voices, in particular black female voices, to share this conversation with. And Dion, I'm going to go ahead and let you jump into it a little bit about what Jason Whitlock said. If you could give us kind of a concise representation of it, and let's kind of take it from there.
Well, for anybody who doesn't know who Jason Whitlock is, he is a um, sports reporter. He used to work for ESPN, then he got released from that contract. He moved over to Fox Sports. They released him from his contract for many, many controversial statements that he's made on behalf of the Coonan uh, brigade, because he is Coon number one when it comes to um, black athletes and in sports. He always has a negative thing to say about black men and how they're raised or how they perform or what they should be doing or how they should act. So once Fox Sports released him, he went over to some small independent program where he resides now.
I think it's the
He recently
Blaze is
went
where
on
he is now, right?
the Blaze,
Yeah.
yeah, which if you don't know what the Blaze is, do yourself a favor and keep it that way, because it's just a useless um, news outlet. But he went on Tucker Carlson and basically blamed this killing of Tyree Nichols on black women and single mothers, and the mayor of Memphis, um, basically saying that it's single mom's fault for how these five officers beat the shit out of Tyree Nichols to the point where he died, and somehow it's black women's fault for not having men in the house. And I got to be honest with you, of all the angles to take for this situation. That one was not on my bingo board whatsoever. I don't understand how you could even remotely connect the two. I don't know if these five officers were raised in single households. I don't know if Tyree was raised in a single household, but that is irrelevant. That had nothing to do with the situation whatsoever. And leave it to Jason Whitlock to be that guy. He's always that guy of saying ignorant, dumb, coonery shit.
Dion, you still with us? Have you
Did I
guys?
freeze? Can y'all
There you
still
go.
hear
Yep,
me?
yep, yep. You said he's saying coonery. Yeah, pick up.
You're back.
You know what? At this
So
moment, I'm gonna go
basically,
ahead and bring
he says
Moni.
a bunch of coonery shit.
I'm gonna bring Moni in real quick. I got her in the green
Go
room
ahead.
waiting, so I'm gonna bring her on real quick. The second member of the FAB podcast. How you doing, Moni?
Hey guys, what up though?
What up,
What
Doe?
up?
Thank you for joining us. It sounds
My
like
friend's here.
yes. I'm gonna. Well, look like there's a delay with someone here. Who's on delay?
It's me. I'm a dropout.
I, Warren, are you good?
I think so.
Okay.
I'm
All right.
showing all my bars.
And
I
all
think
right.
I'm delayed.
Yep, Kat. If you could drop and come back on for me real quick.
Yeah.
Thank you, Moni. How you doing?
I'm good. How are you guys?
We are good, and I'm
She's
gonna have
on.
you drop and come back too because you have a delay. Please.
Okie dokie.
Am I delayed?
I can do that.
No, you're good. You're the only person that was good. Highly enough. Sorry, folks. Technical difficulties. All right, Dion, how you doing?
I'm good. Can y'all hear me?
I can hear you. You got a little bit of a delay though.
There's a delay. I don't know why there's a delay.
Bringing Kat back in to the crew. Kat, how you feeling? Can you hear us? Okay.
Okay. Hello?
Yep. There you go.
Yeah,
All
we
right.
can hear you.
Back solid. When Moni comes
Okay.
back, we'll drop her right on in. Sorry, folks. We do apologize. That is one of the hazards of doing live programming. So we'll get Moni back in here and we'll take off on the show from where we.
I forgot to ask, can we cuss on the show?
You
Hell
can.
yeah.
I wouldn't get too outrageous, but yeah, you can.
Okay.
But
Good to know.
The outrageous cussing is reserved mostly for me.
Okay. That's fair.
I I love that Cat's like, hey, can we cuss on the show? Like we haven't even really gotten into it, but she's already made plans.
I want to be a polite guest.
I do appreciate it. I do appreciate it. All right, we're just waiting for Moni to jump back in here with us. Warren, what ended
That's
up
a
happening
big-
with the guests? Before we jump back, what ended up happening with the guests there? Did they end up having to connect you to this talk again? Did you just not see them for the rest of the cruise?
Sadly, like 2 days went by, and then I saw them coming out, and I got to walk by the shuffleboard court, and their whole family is there. There's like 8 of them playing shuffleboard, and I saw their son first, who's 17. So out of reflex, I was like, "Hey!" And then right after I said, I was like, I should have said nothing." And then he had that look and laughed like he doesn't know we told on him, and I had that look like I do know you told on me, and I want to throw you overboard. But I'm mature now, so I'm not going to do it. So this was all with our eyes, and then I walked by. Dion would have thrown him overboard.
Nah, I'd have cussed him out. I'd be like, fuck you and your family for snitching.
Well, what got me was they waited and talked to me and told me their whole love story. If you were mad at somebody, why would you tell me how you met your husband and all that, only to go tell?
You know what they did? They shook your hand and said something mean.
Exactly.
All right, we're gonna go ahead and jump back into the show real quick here.
That was it.
Looks like there's gonna be some delays, and we're just gonna watch them. We're gonna have to live with it. It is what it is for right now. I think it will adjust itself as it goes. First time we're having 5 people on the show, so we'll work it out. Who did we just lose? We just lost Dion. Dion just dropped off. So let's go ahead and pick up the show here. Moni, Dion is coming back again, so let's do this here. Dion is back with us.
Sorry. I don't know what's going on with the internet, but
No worries. All right, Moni, I'm sure you're familiar with obviously what happened to Mr. Tyree Nichols being murdered by the police officers in Memphis. We're going to touch on the the portion of the story where Jason Whitlock, in my opinion, pretty much blamed it on black mothers being the reason why those 5 officers did not behave in the way that they were trained to behave. And so I want to go with Kat first because she was the first one. Kat, here's a question that I have, and I'm glad that both of you are on. How much do you feel that black women have been misrepresented, or especially over the last couple of years, when it comes to things like this? When it comes, and I guess the second part of my question I'll ask right now too. Do you ever feel like there's been this plan to separate the black woman from the black male when these types of things happen?
Yes. How much this a long delay. So I separate people. I mean, all of men and black women, just all of us. It's just the divide and conquer strategy. They keep using it because it works. Like I think that's why it's constantly used. The fact that we're talking about it right now. Like I'd never heard of this person before, Jason Whitlock. Like I only when you guys sent me the thing that I have to research and learn about him. I was like, yeah, this is a clown. Like they will always put you on their platform if you're willing to throw black people under the bus. Um, we just got through. I was on another podcast talking about a book, America Made Me a Black Man, and the Somali writer was just talking about coming over here at 15. He had survived civil war, and he was like, American racism was worse, and he just went back because he was like, it was slowly killing me.
Moni, I want to throw the same question to you as well.
Yes, thank you. I have to kind of second what she's saying as far as the separation. I think that it goes farther than just like a black woman, black man thing. I think that overall, it feels like a straw man. It feels like we're throwing that in so that we don't have to talk about the real issue. Um, which is like she said, divide and conquer, and it's super effective. And it feels like it's a cycle, right? Like we have I don't know. Like I want black women. It's such a distraction from what we could be doing, which is building our community and figuring out how to, you know, have the resources, have the education and the opportunities that we really want. And I just feel like he's a clown. Like same thing. I didn't even know who this man was till today. Okay, and it was funny because I asked my husband because of course I call him streets because he's pop culture. Like he goes hard. I honestly try to avoid stuff like this. It's good to know what people are saying, but like honestly, it feels like a waste of my time and space. And like she said too, like even talking about him right now, giving him more of a platform takes away from what we could be doing is talking about like how do we fix this? How do we get black men and women in a position where we can have some real ass conversations. And that's what I'm interested in because to me it's not even a real conversation what he's talking about at all.
Warren?
I heard what he said. I also didn't know who he was, but I didn't see the relevance. So sure, he can say there's a lot of homes where the father's not there, but what that have to do with what the police did? It wasn't related at all. I was surprised he actually chose to blame the single mothers who were there raising their children and not attack the fathers who weren't there. And of course, I can't say for everybody, but some left, some were sent away, some didn't want to be there. But I just thought it was interesting that you chose to pick on the parent who was there putting in the work every single day. But yeah, other than that, I don't see the relevance.
Dion?
Well, I mean, this is his shtick. This is his MO. It's the only way he can be relevant is to say these obtuse, off color, coonery type things. But for me, the the overall point of the conversation that he's trying to have with the, you brought it up, the separation of the black man and the black woman. To me, what this particular situation has nothing to do with that particular situation, and so bringing it up to make it somehow relevant when it's not, to Warren's point, it's not, these two things don't go together. They're separate conversations. And for me, I don't care if you have two parents in the house, no parents in the house. You know the difference between right and wrong. And punching a handcuffed dude in the face has nothing to do with whether or not you have parents or not. That is irrelevant. They knew what the job was. They had been trained. They went through the police academy. They know the laws. So they knew what they were doing was wrong. If you want to say they did that because they didn't have a dad or a mother, I would say to you that's bullshit because they weren't doing it to anybody else. They don't have this long history of whooping people's asses because their daddy or mama wasn't home. So to me, that argument is completely irrelevant.
Yeah, I think the conversation needs to be had. And again, I want to invite you guys, or again, for the first time, I want to invite you guys to go ahead and click the share button and throw up the emojis as well if you agree or disagree with anything that's being said. But I do think this conversation is important to have, not only by us, but by others as well, because if you do not, you do allow those who do watch certain platforms who, and Jason Whitlock has been around for a long time. This man has a long, successful career as a sports reporter, as a columnist. He's been on every major platform. If it wasn't for the fact that he just can't seem to get along with his co-hosts and his bosses, he would still be either at ESPN or Fox Sports. He's not someone who has just not been thought about. I understand if there's some people out there who may not know who he is until maybe today and moving forward because you have not been into sports or pop cultures as streets have, as Modi calls her husband there. I completely get it, but I do believe that the conversation is important. I do agree with the ladies, though. It is important to also have a conversation on how we can come together as well. But I do not want it to be forgotten, and that's the reason I posed the question to you guys, is that there has been this desire to separate black women from the black male when it comes to things like this. I do think Jason Whitlock has taken a different approach to doing that. I've seen it where people want women to see themselves as women first, as opposed to being black first. I myself, not being a black woman, do not agree with that because I see myself as black before anything else. I guess, how do you ladies see yourselves? Do you see yourselves as women first or black first, or is there a combination of both in terms of how do you ladies see yourself? And again, I'm asking the question because I don't want to speak for you.
Moni, you want to go first?
Mm-mm. Go
Okay.
ahead.
It's a question of intersectionality. I don't get to choose either identifier. Both have just been given to me. So if I'm experiencing sexism, I don't get to like be like, oh, a lot of times when I'm in situations, I don't have time to determine is this sexism or racism because it could be either one in a lot of situations. So to me, having to identify as something isn't as important as how people are perceiving me because that's not how I go into anything. Like I'm not going to treat people different because of their identifiers. So if you're a man, if you're a woman, if you identify as non-binary, like that really shouldn't matter, but because it matters to other people, that affects how I'm treated because a lot of people see women as inferior. A lot of people see black as inferior. So when it comes to the intersectionality of gender and what is perceived race, I'm not choosing one to glom onto as my identity because my identity is what it is regardless of what identifiers people want to put on me. I'm pass the mic to Moni.
I know Moni probably didn't want to answer that question, so let me ask Moni a different one. Moni, what are some of the things that you would suggest on how we can come together and have productive conversations?
Thank you for that question. No, I just need time to think. Like, Kat's a quick processor. I don't mind answering the question.
Okay.
So I'll address that quickly, but I feel like it's a weird question to ask somebody. Like to disassociate yourself with part of your identity, um, while at the same time not being so attached that you can't be open. So for me, I mean, I'm rarely in situations where I'm able to separate it in real time. Period. You know what I mean? And so I realized I was a girl before I realized I was black. Like I feel like I was physiologically aware of being a feminine entity because it's one of the first things that you learn about yourself. You know what I mean? You're even the way you're named, the way you're addressed, the things that you're expected to do or not do. Like I had two brothers growing up, and I was, I don't want to say masculine, but like I thought that the feminine sort of like roles were super boring. I'm like, this is whack. Like, why I gotta be the one playing with a doll, like changing a diaper? Like, when was that fun? Like, I'm trying to be out here with laser tag with my brothers. I'm trying to climb these trees. Like, if I'm not dirty, I'm not happy. Like, I'm out here in these streets on this bike. Like, so I feel like I was aware of that before I was aware that I was black. And but like at the adult point, it's like I don't nobody's separating it because even if I'm in a room full of like women and they're not black, you know what I'm saying? Like I'm aware that I'm not, you know what I'm saying, white. So I don't know. I just think it's a weird question. I think it's hard to separate. And like Kat said, I mean, at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter. To me, it matters to other people way, way more. So, and then for the second question, as far as coming together, I think, just like intention and focus. Because at this point, I think that people seem way more interested in clicks and shit going viral and having, conversations about stuff that really doesn't push things forward. So I think, on top of having the conversations, like aligning yourself with people who have influence and making your voice heard in those spaces and participate like you're saying too. I agree with you that the conversations have to happen. Like we have to have these conversations outside of the vacuum of this sort of manufactured boogeyman that creates fear and division. And it's up to us to like we have to be able to push forward the narrative that we want. Because like you're saying, if we don't speak up, if we don't pop in there and say, hey, like actually, you know, um, here's what's really going on, and here are the distractions. Like, if we can't differentiate what's really important and can't agree, I think what's super hard, I mean, just for Black people, men and women, is for us to collectively agree on, like, what are we trying, like, what do we want? Like, I think we might need to just start there. Like, what the hell do we want collectively? And then if we can find, I mean, it's not gonna all be the same, but what are 2 or 3 points that we can like agree on that we can all say like, hey, as Black folks, as men and women, we don't beat up old people, or we don't go on public platforms and like shit on women for no reason. Like we don't just bring that shit up for no reason, or we support Black men who are trying. Like whatever that is, like whatever those points are that we agree on, like we need to find what those things are and laser focus on that. And people like the Whitlock dude, it's like and I'm under. Listen, I don't. I want to act like he's obscure because clearly people know who he is. But I'm just like busy raising kids and having families. And I did see the clip before I knew who his name was. So when Dion sent the or in the group chat it said what we were talking about, I was like, I wonder if that's the guy that I saw the clip of because he was on Tucker Carlson, which was like I already knew that was gonna be some bullshit. I was like, oh okay. So yeah, just really kind of like filtering out the noise and being sort of intentional, I think.
All right, nice, nice. Hey, I want to throw that first question to the fellas, though. Whichever one you want to jump in first, Warren or Dion. Uh, the first question I asked: Do you feel like there
Which was
has
first?
been a Do you feel like there has been some type of attempt to separate black males from black females?
Yes, but I don't think it's a weird thing only because this guy, I hate to give him props for being right on anything. You know what I'm saying? But he's correct in the sense of yes, things are purposely set up to be separated. But because he's so much of an ass on the rest of it, I don't even want to give him the credit he's due for that, if that makes sense. Um, to jump to the other question, what I thought was interesting, and again, I understand I'm in a unique situation because when I was younger, my mom moved us from a horrible crime ridden area in Boston to a white neighborhood. So it was obvious from the start I'm black. But then because of how my voice sounds, I was never black enough for some blacks. So I've had that back and forth where it's like, am I supposed to figure out which one I am? So I would just fight people. So if you fight people for some reason as kids that got you respect. It's like, oh, he's black enough, he beat me up. Come on, we're cool now, and then it was good. But it's always been apparent I didn't fit 100% smooth just by being there. And like I said, it's a unique thing. And then luckily with comedy, you just become yourself. So now it's a thing where it's not a thought. So I'm a comic first. I used to have to do jokes that were like, "Hey, I know I sound this way, so you guys don't have to think about it." Now it's not a thing. But on the separation, definitely. But I don't even know. I don't even know if I'd say they're trying to separate the men from the women. I think they're just trying to separate the race as a whole to make it a system that doesn't work. If that makes sense.
Hey, Dan, before you go, I was wondering for folks who are just jumping on. I see Larry just jumped in. I see Elder J is with us. For those other folks who are just jumping on or who are watching later, we are obviously having some technical difficulties. We're going to push through them. There's going to be some delays, but everybody here's a pro, so we're going to push through. Dan, I'll let you go ahead and do your thing.
So, to answer the question, do I think there's a separation between black men and black women? Yes. It is a design system to separate us as a entire group of black people from each other so that we don't unify to get what we want as a collective. Now, the the issue that I have with the situation with Jason Whitlock is the fact that he's talking about two separate issues in front of people who don't understand any of the issues. So when he gets on Tucker Carlson and he talks about how, these cops beat this guy up because there's single moms running around, like that's not what happened. There are single parent households who have raised some problematic children. Black, white, Chinese, Indian, Native, what Mexican, whatever race you want to, every race has that. So that is a separate issue in and of itself. You ask the girls, the ladies, excuse me, uh, if they're black or women first. Well, for me, I found out how black I was before I realized I was a boy. So, um, I found out in third grade that I was a nigga. I didn't know what a nigga was until I heard somebody call me that. And I remember my father specifically telling me, anybody who calls you that, you have the right to put your hands on them. So that's what I did. Bill Niedermeyer caught these hands. I got suspended for 3 days. He got in school suspension. So you learn very quickly how the system is designed to treat you. And for me, to answer Moni's question, what do we want collectively as black people? It's to be treated the same way everybody else is. My blackness should not grant me a prison sentence 2 times longer than my white counterpart. If I do the same crime as my white counterpart, I should get the same amount of time they do. Point blank, period, and simple. My blackness has nothing to do with anything else other than the fact that I have darker skin. That is supposed to be what the Constitution is all about, is that all men are created equal. And so if you're not treating me equally based on the way that I look, that's something I can't control, then that is the issue that we need to solve. However, black people didn't create that issue. So it's not up to us to solve that issue. I think that's what the huge problem comes in, is that black people are always trying to figure out, how do we get ourselves out of this situation? Well, we didn't get ourselves into this situation. We are simply living and existing. And the fact that the system has a problem with that because it wasn't designed for us, that is the issue that we need to fix. We need to get the people who created the system to recognize that, oh, they said one thing, but they're doing another. And it's going to take all of them to be like, you know what? The system isn't working for everybody. We need to fix it. Whether you have a single parent, two parents, no parents, it shouldn't matter in the eyes of the law that when police roll up on you, that they gonna put their hands on you or not. We've seen countless videos of white people wilding out with knives and guns and still going to jail. Dylan Roof is a perfect example. He shot a bunch of people and went to Burger King. Meanwhile, this kid gets pulled out of his car for a traffic infraction and they beat him to death. So it's like, to me, what is it about black skin that gets these alternative consequences that the rest of the country is not getting. That is the issue that we should be talking about first and foremost. Because if you get rid of that issue, everything else will solve itself.
For folks out there, the woman that we are speaking about and who Jason Whitlock was speaking on is the police chief of the Memphis Police Department, Carolyn Davis, and she is actually married, and has a child. So he went out of his way to try to make a point, and that's why I asked the question. I would say this, that I see myself as black first. And the reason why I see myself as black first is because I know that's the first thing that the world sees. And I know it's the first thing that people are going to react to. Is it right? Is it fair? Neither one of those things is true. But that is the first thing that I know about myself because that's the first thing I know the world. And in a lot of cases, that's the only thing that the world do see, that there is a systematic approach to creeping into our community and to separate us and to make black women feel as if they are a woman first as opposed to being black first. That is the reason why I asked the question. Not because of just this one instance, not because of just this one idiot who went out of his way to make a point. This is a systematic approach that I've watched over the last 2 to 3 years at minimum. At minimum. We even saw it before.
Can I
when
say
you talked
something,
about,
Sydney?
yeah, just let me finish this one line as well. Light skin versus dark skin. So there's been several different ways that they've tried. And for me, this is just the latest. I assume that was Kat. I'm not sure because we have the delay. But
Yeah,
Kat,
it was Cat.
please. Yeah, please.
So, if I'm hearing you correctly, you think it's more important to identify as black before identifying as, male or female, or like, is that important in some way?
I'm not putting a label of importance on it one way or the other. But the way I do see myself first is black because I understand that that's how the world sees me first and foremost.
Okay, because it sounded like you said like the powers that be are trying to get women to see themselves as women first before black.
Yes, if that's your question, then yes,
And why would that be a problem?
that would be a problem because we are all black and we are all on the same accord. We are all struggling for the same thing together as
So
one.
you don't think
I
women
do, I
are,
do,
you
I
don't think
do,
sexism is a
I,
thing?
I, again, you never heard me say that. Not quite sure where you plucked that out of.
Okay.
This
Well,
is the spice I was
because
looking
if
for.
we're all black, you're saying like if their powers to be are trying to get women to identify as women before being black because we're all black and we're all in the same struggle, it's mitigating the fact that black women are having a separate struggle because they are dealing with the problems of racism and sexism.
All right, is that? I'm sorry. I see your hand still moving. I know it's a delay. Was that the end of your commentary?
Yeah.
Okay.
Over.
Okay. Um, again, we all have our own separate things that we go through. Never say that sexism doesn't exist. Again, I'm not sure where you plucked that out of. But if your question is, do I think it's more important for women to see themselves as black first so we can all stay in one accord? Absolutely. Does that does that mean that I don't think that a woman goes through her own everyday struggles? No. I'm sure white women go through their own everyday struggles as well. But that's not the conversation we're having. And that's not the conversation I think is most important. Since you
I'm
wanted
just
me to put the
reacting to
word important.
the,
No, no, no,
well,
you're not really
just,
reacting. You're kind of pulling stuff out of the sky that I didn't say. So you're not really
no, you
reacting. No, no,
said,
you never heard me say
The
sexism is important.
tables are turning
You
right
never heard me
now.
say
I
that.
I
You
told
never
you.
heard me say
I,
I no, I'm trying to, that's what I'm saying. If I heard you correctly, because you said the powers that be are trying to get women to identify as women before
that. Right,
blackness.
right.
But what I think I was trying to communicate is that that isn't an option for us. Like I don't get to ignore sexism in order to fight blackness. They're both happening to me.
Hmm. Okay. All right.
I mean, I agree with you. And I mean, so again, I feel like that ends up being the reason why we can't, because it's like why can't both of these things be true at the same time? You know what I'm saying? like, I mean, I got called a nigger too. I think maybe my first time Dion was in fourth grade. You know what I'm saying? I was like one. There might have been two black people in my whole fourth grade class, and that's eye opening. But it's not like it was. It wasn't like I was in fourth grade and it was the first time I knew I was black. Like I knew I was black before that, but it didn't mean the same thing until I was called a nigger. You know what I'm saying? Like I didn't understand. I grew up in Detroit. I feel like somebody from here is from Detroit, right? Who's from Detroit?
What up, though? What up, though?
What up, though? Yeah, you know what I'm saying? On the west side, whatever. You know what I'm saying? I grew up all around black people, but then I went to school in the suburbs. And the whole code switching thing. I think the other co-host, I'm so sorry, I don't see your name at the
Warren.
bottom, and I'm
Warren.
forgetting. Yeah, Warren was even speaking on that, like just the whole code switching thing. But again, this all feels like tactics. Like I don't know why we have to argue about each other's. It's not like the oppression Olympics. Like at the end of the day, I'm having an experience being a black woman that maybe you're not having as a black man. And I think it's kind of unfair to, and I'm not saying you're saying this to me at all. I'm just saying in general, I think that the larger conversation always ends up being like, well, you have to think about it like this because I think, no, like we don't have the same shared experience because our genders are different. And it doesn't erase my blackness in the middle of it, but there's stuff that you won't experience being a man because there's a whole another system that exists that upholds maleness over everything. You know what I'm saying? So like, of course, you it's easy to bypass that because it's like, okay, that's not something that I'm necessarily up on. You know what I'm saying? And same thing for people who consider themselves white or other. I'm moving a lot, sorry. Um, I just feel like I'm very animated. It just feels like
I
I
love it. I
don't know
love it.
why
Keep
we
it going.
can't. Why can't we all just get along? Let's go back to Rodney King, one of the first beating victims that I ever saw. You know what I mean? Like I just don't feel like it needs to be because again, like I can't separate it, and I am still black, and I ride for black men, married to a black man, love black men. But when I speak to black men, I want to feel heard. When I'm saying to you, like, yo, I'm having this side experience that's fucked up though, based on the fact that I have a vagina. You know what I'm saying? Like I know that it is because from the time that I was a small person, I am being groomed to be somebody's like it goes straight into like if you're not performing. I mean, I'm sure men feel this too. Like if you're a little bit outside of masculinity is even a smaller box you got to fit into. Like there's not a lot of wiggle room in that. If you like he just said I had to like fight motherfuckers. Like that wasn't even me. Like I was just trying to live my life, but I felt like to be black I had to do this or whatever. And some of that is I would venture to say probably too just that male experience. Like I never necessarily feel like I had to fight. I did sometimes, but it was mostly we're all just trying to find our space. And I just think we need to hold space for each other and be willing to listen to each other's experiences as opposed to being like, we can't, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know how erasing my feminine experience advances blackness. I guess I'm confused on that. I don't understand how that goes together.
We are lucky enough to have the FAB podcast on with us. The ladies from Fake Ass Book Club. Make sure I get that correctly there. Kat and Moni. So we appreciate you ladies for being on. Again, follow their podcast. Jump on there. I'm not sure who's still with us and who isn't, but if you're still out there, go ahead and throw those emojis up. Click that share button and give us some comments as well. Chad Lamont says, and I'm going back a few here. He says, and I want to throw you overboard. And so he's going back to Warren's story there. And Chad would be someone who would throw someone overboard. Elder J says Whitlock has found a place that his rhetoric will actually grow his platform, so he's going for broke with the foolishness. I agree with you there. I think we all do. Chris agrees with Dion with what he was saying a few moments back. Elder comes back. He says black fear has been ingrained into the minds of society for centuries. So unfortunately, there is automatically a difference on how people handle it, even by black people. And then I'm gonna throw this one up. This knocks Chad off the wall. For those who do not remember, whoever is last on the wall, you get points, man. Whoever has the most points at the end of the year, or at the end of the year, end of the month, gets a prize. So I'm not even sure who this Facebook user is, but I'm gonna put him up there because Dion always accuses me of not putting up shit when people have something to say about me. And this person says, it's nice to have someone validate my counter opinions on Sydney. So that is
Michelle
some.
Nagata.
Of course, I knew it was Michelle going against me. And Michelle, because it's you, you will receive no applause breaks. You will receive no DJ horn, and there will be no Michael Jordan laughter for you. But I did put you up on the wall. You get a point Please, someone knock her right off the wall. Right off the wall.
I have a request.
What's that,
I
more?
think that Moni should be put on the wall for the way that she smoothed out that slight incident that we were just going to let slide by, that she took both sides and made it come together and everybody understood it and ate the sandwich. So he won't give you the horn, but I will.
First of all, I would
Well
not let
said.
you walk around giving that kind of horn when I could have just did this.
Oh shoot!
Dom DeMarco.
All right, I want to keep the conversation going. And Warren, how dare you? How dare you put Moni out there like that and try to make it sound like she was sitting on the fence? The woman has some great points.
I don't know where you
Get
plucked
it or
that
you
out
don't.
of.
It's all good.
All right, Warren, you
Well,
want to go ahead and jump into the conversation, or Dion, anybody want to jump in?
Yeah, Dion, what you got to say?
before I speak, Warren, did you have anything?
No, I'm good.
Okay, so to further talk on Moni's point, with her experiences as a woman versus her experiences as a man, like as a black man, you have to fit into white spaces, and as a black woman, you have to fit into to white women's spaces. And so our unique characteristics as black people causes us to have to code switch. And so my overall point was is eliminating code switching. If we can find a way to make society comfortable with our blackness being a difference that is okay, as opposed to a difference that needs to be code switched so that everybody else feels comfortable with it, I think that would solve a lot of those issues that black men and black women have going with each other. To see a black woman have to struggle because she's a woman under the quote unquote patriarchy versus having a black man having to struggle under white patriarchy is a system that doesn't lend itself to either one of those problems being solved. So when they separate us the way that they do to make us fight about these issues, I think what my overall point was part of what Sydney was saying is they're going to see us black first, regardless of male or female. So if we can get on the same page that way, then we can go ahead and knock out those underlying problems as they arise.
I do want to make sure the ladies, because I'm not sure what they can and can't see because we're using the new updated system here. We're still getting kind of used to it, so I want to make sure they know that they're getting a lot of love here. Thank you to the two new guests. Someone says, wait until they hear how you feel about minimum wage. So someone's trying to throw me under the bus about minimum
That's
wage.
Michelle. You know
Of
it's
course,
Michelle.
of course. Michelle,
Let's go, Michelle. I'm here for it, girl. Tell me what it is.
oh man, minimum wage is too high as it is. That's what it is.
Oh,
Let's
Oh
see.
boy.
Jesus
Yeah, we
Christ.
need another show for that one. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Someone says, "Hi guys, glad I got a chance to catch up. Sorry I'm so late. Love seeing these beautiful women on here." Dion, can
Our
you see what
girl
I did?
Jessica Lee Taylor.
Okay,
Thank
what's up,
you.
Jessica? And look at this. Here I go
Too
again.
kind.
Nothing to do with me, Dion. Boom, makes the wall, and Michelle, your ass is back on the bench. That is, look how fast that happened. And
I think that comment only got
applause break.
because it knocked off Michelle's comment about you. That's why that you put that up
Yeah.
there.
I don't like your attitude,
But
Dion.
Dion, with I'm sorry. With what you just said though, like as getting, I feel like when you study the history of resistance of Black people in America, Black women have tried that tactic of just identifying as Black first and ignoring the sexism they experience. When you read about the experience of the women, Black Panthers, women who were part of the civil rights movement, um, it didn't work out great for them. Like it wasn't a good strategy. So I think that yes, the ultimately we do need to come together, but it is very difficult to collaborate with people who see you as lesser. And so it's easy to tell someone to put their dignity on the shelf so that they can accomplish something else, but there is an expiration on how long someone can do that.
I'm not asking anybody to put their dignity on the shelf. As a black man,
Oh, here comes the
knowing what
spiciness. It's getting spicy.
as as a
It
black
was
man,
it was
knowing
mild.
As a black man, knowing what black women go through, as a man in general, I know it's my job to support, protect, and uplift women, regardless of their color, right? Now, coming from black people, I understand that your struggle as a black woman is different than that of a white woman's, where her situation in this country is predicated on who she chooses to love. You have the benefit of not having to love a white man who's going to treat you like shit. Just like you have the ability to pick a black partner who's not going to treat you like shit, who's not going to ignore the situations that you go through. Part of the reason why I brought that up was because I don't consider people who uphold the patriarchy, so to speak, as real men. So when you ignore all the things that women go through just because they're women, to me, that lessens your status as a man. If women want equal pay, give them equal pay. If women want equal work, give them equal work. If black women want to be the breadwinners in their relationships, by all means, knock yourself out. I would love to stay at home while you go out and work.
Jesus.
I would love to fold the laundry while you are out
What?
there dealing with the
What?
harassment that you got to deal with at work. The situation then becomes that when you come home, do you not turn around and do the exact same thing that you're saying I'm doing to you?
Warren?
Yeah, I heard everything. I like watching the screen and trying to guess who's really talking. Um, I didn't really, I don't have. I guess I'm eager to jump on to the actual case with the officers, so I'm kind of eager to step that way. So I'll wait for that.
Kat, do you have something you want to push back on with Dion at all? Anything there?
No, I didn't like towards the end, I didn't exactly get it, but I mean, I'm perfectly fine with moving on.
It was
I'm
some
gonna take
bullshit,
that as
Cat.
a
You know what I'm
W
saying?
over
Don't even
here.
worry about that. No, I'm
I'm,
just
So you
I'm
take
playing.
it
gonna
as a
take that
W,
W
Dion?
right over here. Take that dub. She just want to
Sure.
move on. Go ahead, hand me that dub.
Warren, go ahead and jump into the cops. See, I know you had some things you wanted to touch on there.
All right, so I scoured over this video of these loosely use the term officers with this guy from the beginning. From the beginning, the first thing the dude said to him was, it was half of the sentence, but he said, "You're about to get your ass blown the fuck up." That was the opening. So already you're coming in hot. And then the very first thing he said after that was, "Get the fuck out the car," followed by, "Get the fuck out the fucking car." So already that, to me, that doesn't sound officer. Officer is supposed to say something officer-ish. So already you've come in a little hood. You could ask Street if he'll back me on that, but I think you will. Um, Within 30 seconds, they're calling this dude a bitch. That's not officer like. That's not how the police are supposed to be doing things. And I'm trying to think what the last thing was where he told, oh dude, he told dude, break yourself. Now, is this a traffic stop or is this a carjacking? Because it doesn't sound like the officers are supposed to sound. So I'm saying already from the bat, they came in hot. So it's like you got to back the tape up 30 seconds before to show me, why did you get out of the car so angry? What were you so mad at before you got there? Like he tried to hit you with his car. And of course, that didn't happen, because if he did, they'd have posted it. They'd have said, oh, well, here's why we were chasing him and he did this. But they don't have anything to back that up, which means it didn't happen. So the question is, why were these cops so angry from the beginning? So that's my question. What are we missing? I don't think we're missing anything, but I wonder what we're missing. And for a grown man to be so afraid that you yell for your mother, right? I have an 8-year old, and when he's scared, sometimes he'll yell "daddy," and you would expect that. But for a grown man to be that afraid that you're yelling for your mother, that means you think it's over. You He got up and he literally ran for his life. Which at this point, why wouldn't you run? I've asked you, what have I done wrong? And you're beating me up. Why would I sit here and take that? Of course I'm going to run. Now, the scariest part to me, or the second scariest part of the whole thing, is at the very, very, if you saw the long version, at the very, very end of the video, the cop who pulled him out first, EMTs came up, and he looks at them and he says, "Yeah, here's what happened. I got to the car and I said, 'You good, bro?' And he swung on me." And then the recording stops. So nothing could be further from the truth of what happened. But this is how you're going to address this story. You know, you jumped on this dude immediately, and you're not even going to own up and say you did that. You're going to be like, "Oh yeah, I asked him how are you," and he went to punch me. So I've always said my favorite invention is the camera. And it used to be because I thought it was cool. You take a picture, 10 seconds after you take it, it's not that big a deal. But then let 10 years go by and it's amazing. Oh, look how we look. Look at that outfit I was wearing. But now it's my favorite invention because it's letting people know this is happening.
Right, right.
Over.
Moni,
Yeah.
I, I, I feel like we've been just crushing your voice. I feel like you have so much to say. I know you're from Detroit, so I know you got a lot of insight, and I know you're brilliant because you're from Detroit. And I'm
Oh
waiting.
wow,
I'm
I'm
waiting.
getting that shine, huh? I'll take
Hey,
it.
hey, anytime I get somebody from Detroit on the show, they're gonna get all the shine in the world, all the shine. What was kind of your first
I
reaction
feel
when you?
away.
Oh, I'm sorry,
Feelings is
Kat.
fine.
You
I,
are
I accept your
outstanding.
apology. We can
You are
move on.
outstanding as well. But Modi, where were you at with it when the video first dropped? Uh, and again, obviously we're seeing it again, but can you have a different emotion than you've had over and over and over again, or is it pretty much the same thing for you each time?
I mean, it's sad always. Like I actually went out of my way not to look at it all the way because I can't stand seeing it. Like I just feel like it's weird that it's entertainment for people. And then on one hand, I feel like um, like to me, the larger issue with policing is always just the way stuff is goes down. Like he was commenting on how the police officers they weren't very officery. I disagree respectfully. I feel like that's that's exactly how policing is designed. And I won't say all police are like that. I feel bad for the police who show up not hot. You know what I'm saying? Who show up or have a shitty partner who shows up hot. That you're fucking around and putting me in a situation where now I might what I'm saying have to back you up or you know what I'm saying? Like it just
How did
I
this
think it
man,
puts
to
good
interrupt, I'm sorry,
police
how did this man put him in that
in
position?
it.
He didn't do any of those things.
I just mean being a police officer in general, like picking that profession, we can always say, like, oh, you're a police officer, so you know you're going to be in these situations. But I guess I'm speaking to just the larger culture around the way that people are policed. Like how a minor traffic stop turns into a life altering, life ending situation. Where they do that at? Here in America, like it's super American. Like this is not new. So it's sad each and every time when you see somebody losing their life for some dumb shit, and it feels like the larger issue is just the policing thing. It's the over incarceration. It's the over policing this minor shit. You know what I'm saying? Like people shouldn't be losing their lives getting pulled over. You know what I'm saying? So for me, it's
I
hard
want
for
to
me to watch.
clarify
I don't want to
because
see it.
it, it sounds like you change what you said a little bit. At first, it sounded like you
Okay,
said
tell me how.
you think they should arrive hot, and then you said you're sad
No,
that
no,
people lose
should
their
not.
life.
Should not. It might be the connection. I'm
Oh, okay.
saying
I'm
they
sorry.
should not be arriving hot. I'm saying they should be arriving as officer friendly as you see it in your mind. What I'm saying is that
Okay,
as you were surprised, I was not surprised by that because I feel like we've witnessed it over and over
gotcha.
and over again on video and in our personal lives. Like, you know what I'm saying? I know, like, my husband has talked about being pulled over and the way that he's treated. He's darker than everybody on this panel. And he knows when he's getting pulled over, it be on some bullshit. He's been down at the police station getting a breathalyzer for no fucking reason. He ain't been drinking nothing. You got him downtown. Like I understand that these things happen, but it's sad that it's not surprising. Like I want to think that it's Mayberry and that we have police officers showing up too. And for those who do show up not hot, that's what I'm saying. Like there are police officers who are awesome at their job, who do not go out here to harass people. They're actually really trying to do their job. But I feel like just like any institution, if you're in a culture that sort of like protects people who are doing that shit. Like I would venture to say that there's probably police officers who be who you get stuck with somebody who you know is hot, right? Like your partner, every time y'all go out, or like I know about police shit, I don't know, but you know what I'm saying. If you're with somebody who is reactionary or who wants smoke, who wants to, you know what I'm saying, like engage with people at that level, I feel like it's hard. It's either it's like you get in or you get out. It happens like that. It don't matter if it's at school. It doesn't matter at work. There's always that group of people who have power who can abuse it. And I feel like that's what we see all the time. And that's the larger issue. And it's really not a black and white issue because white people get their ass beat too by the police. And that's the thing. Like, I'm shitty no matter who it happens to. It's not like it's fucked up. It should not be happening to anybody. Like, nobody should be getting beat up for a basic traffic stop. This shit is dumb.
I want to ask this question, and I want to let Kat go first, and then Dion. I want you guys to have the last word on this here with this question. Do you guys see this as a training issue? Is this something that can be fixed with more oversight from the government, more funding from the government, retraining from the ground up? What do you see this as, Kat, and do you think that can fix it?
Um, so if I'm hearing you correctly, you're asking, do I think this is a training issue?
Could this be a training issue? Is this something that could be fixed with more training? This could be fixed with more oversight from the government, from the federal government on down as well.
So I think historically, yes, there has been a precedent where federal oversight does help to mitigate some of this, but I'm inclined to agree with Moni. Like, this is kind of the norm. Like, the police department evolved from slave catchers. So a lot of it is so ingrained in the institution, it needs something more than just oversight, I think, because I think what we're witnessing over and over again are lynchings. Like, these are just modern day lynchings. I don't think lynching ever really went away. And when you study the history of lynchings, how they came about, because it was usually over someone who didn't do anything wrong. It's like a very weird type of human sacrifice almost, where I think there's almost this subconscious desire that it's keeping people safe. And that's why there's not a real motivation to stop it. So, um, in the short term, I think it could help, but since it's the very institution itself has very poisonous roots, it needs. Um, I think for one, the police handle too much. In other countries, like there's not just like one law enforcement agency that just handles everything. It's too broad of an instrument. So I think we need like I I don't know exactly what we need, but I wouldn't go so far as to say that just changing the training would make, because the people who would be in charge of the training are still kind of have taken this poison pill.
Dion, jump in there.
Before Dion goes, real quick, Dion, I want to say, sadly, I'm only surprised at the way it started out because they were all black. Sadly, had they all been white cops, I wouldn't have been as surprised. But because without the uniform, any one of those dudes could have been this dude, yeah, I was that naive. I was that gullible.
Did you see Boys in the Hood?
Bless your
Oh, yeah.
heart.
Th-
Like, what
this
the
this
fuck?
this I'm so glad you said that, Warren, because
Rolling
it was going.
60s.
It doesn't matter if you're white, black, Chinese, Indian. If you're a cop, that is the system design. You ask me, can training fix this? No, because the training is what the training is. They knew better. I asked Warren this question before we went on uh, live. The first question I would ask these officers in court is, did you know what you were doing was wrong? They're either going to lie and say no, or they're going to tell the truth. And no matter what they say, the line of questioning after that condemns them. They knew what they were doing was wrong, whether it was a black guy, a white guy, a black woman, a black white woman. It doesn't matter. They knew what they were doing is wrong. So you can get all the training that you want from the government until police actually police themselves, until the quote unquote good officers police the bad officers. You're going to keep having this situation arise over and over and over and over again. It it doesn't shock me that this shit happens. What shocks me is the people who see this and go, "Oh, we need better training." No, they don't need better training. There's a reason why not every single traffic stop ends with somebody being murdered. There's this, and the fact that you think you can bring in federal regulations to mitigate this is ridiculous to me, because they are all part of the same group of people. They have the same boss. They investigate themselves. They know what they're doing. They are well aware. They've watched the same videos we've all watched. They've written the bullshit reports. They've falsified the evidence. They know good and hell well if the shoe was on the other foot, they would be asking for the same justice we are. So the fact that you think you can come in and say, "Oh, we just need to train them better," is ludicrous to me. They know what they're doing. They need to be held accountable for what the entire system allows. That's the issue. If we check them at the systemic level, then all this shit stops.
All right, you two going to get the last word there. I'm going to go to some comments here before we get out of here. Facebook user says, weren't these officers a part of a no gang-like group? Yes, they were. That felt superior. They would go around looking for trouble. Thank God that they were caught. I know the kids were scared, and a natural reaction now is to take out the phones for likes or whatever, but it's evidence. Mary Ballard says, as a society, we continue to condone this with things as innocent as watching good cop, bad cop movies and TV shows. We don't speak with the one. I'm sorry. We don't speak with the one thing that gets their attention, our entertainment dollar. Mary, I don't know if I quite agree with that. Facebook user says, although there are small examples of doing bias training on some select police departments around the country, I think in Las Vegas and Oakland. And Mary Ballard says, it's not training, it's the personalities of the people doing the job. I want to thank the ladies for coming on to the show. We appreciate you ladies so much. Again, please jump
Thanks for
on.
having us.
Absolutely. Jump on. Follow FAB Podcast, Fake Ass Book Club. I think I'm going to become a listener now because, I got to hear what Kat and Moni are talking about. And I'm sure Kat talks a lot of shit on that podcast too. So let's go ahead.
I hope you like crepes.
I know, right? Oh my God.
I do like
Crepes. Oh my
crepes.
God.
I do like crepes. All right.
Don't say that. Don't say that, Sydney. Do not say that.
It was a setup. It was a setup.
What's wrong with crepes?
I'll tell you afterward.
All right.
It's a dinged word.
Oh, gotcha. All right, we're gonna go
Sydney,
to
for the record, Sydney does not like crepes.
I don't like crepes.
I'm sure he doesn't. I'm sure he doesn't.
I hate crepes. Can't stand them. Last person offered me crepes,
That's the
killed
right
them.
answer.
All right, so we're gonna go to our what the hell before we get out of here. We'll start as we always do with Mr. Warren B. Hall, Big Brother Almighty of the show. What you got, bro?
Usually, it's funny to me. Usually we do something funny on the what the hell, but after seeing this, like I said, I watched the video way too many times trying to look for something different each time I listen to it. But be thankful for it's cheesy, but be thankful for the good things that you do have in your life. You have a good woman, a good man, a good friend, someone who listens to you. Think about that, concentrate on that, how you can keep that happy, how you can make that better.
All right, Dion.
My what the hell is up with the trade deadline in the NBA? Yo, Kyrie Irving going to the freaking Dallas Mavericks. Oh, I can't believe that they would trade for this man. Kyrie is a cancer to any and every team that he's been on that doesn't have LeBron James.
Goddamn.
And why you would trade for this fool, I do not understand. He is a phenomenal basketball player. Don't get me wrong. The man is incredibly talented. But his off the court issues would make him untouchable for me as a general manager. And so I would not touch him with a 75-foot pole. And I feel bad for Mark Cuban for springing that deal, because Kyrie's going to blow up that team and set the franchise back. Don't touch Kyrie Irving. He's a great basketball player, but all that extra shit, you don't need it.
I'm sorry. Normally I would go, but Kat kind of jumped in there. Kat, did you have something you wanted to say? You have a what the hell, or do you have one, Moni, by chance?
Oh, I have a what the hell. I'm like, what the hell? I'm so excited. This weekend is going to be Rihanna Bowl. So I'm ready to pull up a chair and get ready for that this Sunday.
All right, I'm with you there. I'll be
Rihanna
watching that
Bowl.
halftime show. Moni,
I
did you have
forgot
one?
the Super what was happening. So how about that?
What the hell, Moni?
The hell?
That's my what the hell. She was like, you know what it is Sunday. I was like, oh. And then
uh,
because yeah, it's this Sunday. Yeah, I didn't know. I
did
got
you
it
ever what
wrong.
the hell at all,
I
Moni?
said the All Star game. I didn't know. I knew
Close
it was
enough.
a setup though.
My what the hell this week is going to be about the New York middle school that decided they were going to serve fried chicken and watermelon on the first day of Black History Month, and now
I
coming
saw
out
that.
with
Well,
an
ain't that
apology.
America?
Uh, Look, I want to say this to anyone out there who's listening: get yourself a black person on your staff. All right, if for no other reason to pull them into some of these meetings y'all are having. When y'all make decisions like these, that proof positive that there's no one black, or at least no one black who's not afraid to get fired in that room when you guys are sitting down thinking about this.
Isn't that a perfect way to torture a black person, though, to make them the only black person at an organization?
Well, no, because that's happening all over the place. So you're not
What
getting
if
Yeah,
the
this
we're
sweet
out
and
there.
potato
we're
pie
and
was
we all have
fire?
hypertension. Oh, what?
The-
Boom.
yeah, we'll talk about that on another show too, because I'm a strongly disagree with that. But yeah, get yourself a black person. If for no other reason, y'all know what to say and what not to say when there's a black person within 6 feet of you. I see a lot of you
You
getting ready
would
to make some
think, but
jokes.
no, they touch a lot of hair.
Cat, this is my what the hell. I don't know what the hell you doing. You overstepping all
She's
I'm gonna
what the
cut my
hell in
mic
your what the
off.
hell.
this this has been not as debatable. Thank the ladies again. We appreciate you guys for coming on. Hopefully you guys will come back and do it again. Thank you to my two brothers. Love you guys. Had a great time doing it. We'll see all of you guys next week. Don't forget, tell a friend, bring some food, bring some water. Bring some stuff. Dion doesn't cook. All right, you guys have yourself a good week.
Bye guys.